Broadcasting from the great state of Michigan. Podcasting across the world and beyond. Across the world and beyond. It's the EasySpeak and Speakeasy330 podcast. A podcast that will go in depth on local and national news, ranging from sports to beer and barbecue. We've got you covered. Get ready for Ain't My Money, Not My Problem, where we'll make the picks, you make the money. Now, go grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and join Tom, Rich, JP, a.k.a. The Giant.
Hey, hey, hey. Welcome
I like that
back.
cut. I like that cut. That cut.
It's like the Temu version of the old school
Temu intro.
EasySpeak. Yep.
You can find it on the TikTok shop. Like and follow, right? Like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah. Link in the bio. Well, we are back, and this is something we've been kind of talking about for a little while now. And I know JP is busy doing his thing and making a name for himself in the broadcasting world. And Rich has been busy with school, and I think we got some opportunities, some time to get back into it. And what a better time than now with the way Detroit sports seems to be kind of going on the uptick, and it's exciting. So here we are, guys. How we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, JP. I mean, I just got back from baseball practice out at Legacy. I know you've been there doing some filming, so just got back from that and got home, scarfed down some food real quick, and then Tom and I have been talking. I mean, I think collectively we've all been talking about this for a while about getting the band back together. Except for instead of everybody sitting at a bar getting shit faced, we're all at our separate houses, and life has changed considerable for I think all three of us. Really, I mean, since the last show, I got married. And JP's got a daughter, a whole new career. Tom's got a new career. I mean, so
I think I'm working on my third one since then.
Hey, listen. Right. At least you started with working, so I mean that's good right there. But no, I mean it's been a long time coming. I'm glad that we've been able to finally get together and the stars aligned, I guess. So, JP, why don't you tell everybody what you got going on?
Yeah, no, like you said, it's been a while since we've all been together. I'm happy that we're back here doing this again. Feels natural. Since the last show that we've done, things have been pretty crazy. I spent a year working full time, raising a newborn, going to school, doing internships. A company that I used to work for, no longer a thing. So I jumped off into the world of broadcasting. Things are looking up. They're starting to get better slowly but surely. We'll say it is not an industry for the faint of heart. It's fast industry, and people are very rude, but it's fun. It's fun and it's fulfilling. There's never a day where you feel like you're going to work. I mean, this is what we do. We've sat here and talked about sports with us. We've done it with other people. You guys have done it with other people, and that's kind of what my occupation is now, and it's fun. Couldn't really ask for more. I mean, 34 now, so right now is the time to pull the trigger, and it's fun, man, and happy to be back and doing this and talking with you guys. And we've all been busy, and life has been very crazy, but at the end of the day, all roads meet back at the Speakeasy330.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. Yeah, I mean, Tom, would you have ever thought that we would have somebody on our podcast who's going to be a regular, by the way, on our podcast? And I say ours is because collectively it's all three. It started with Tom and I planted the seed. JP showed an interest in it, and we were kind of dabbling. We were a little interested. JP took that like over the top a little bit. JP like went to school, learned how to do graphic design, learned how to do graphic arts, filming, audio. Who would have thought that we would have had somebody from a Sunday playground at WTKA in Ann Arbor going to be a mainstay on our show? I would have never have thought of that. And I tell you right now, that was, and it's kind of one of those things, people really don't see behind the scenes, that we talk about I mean, JP, that was a goal for you, right? It was a goal. It was like, and it was like, and it wasn't like, I'm going to dabble a little bit into it. It's like, dude, you jumped headfirst into it. You're like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. You worked hard for it. You achieved it. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I was super proud when you sent a text message. Hey guys, I'm running and you start off as running the board until those guys figured out that you knew what the hell you were talking about when it came to Michigan football. And then you went from running a board to be on the microphone, especially in Ann Arbor, right? The mecca of Michigan sports, the flagship station for the sports, right? Yeah. So, I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you, and you're grinding, dude. I see it every day. I see you grinding, and I'm just glad that you're doing it, and you're doing it because you love it. It's not because it's like you go to a job, you're like, I'm here because I need a paycheck. Yeah. You're out there hustling because it's something that you truly care about and something you truly enjoy. So I do. Hats off. I'm proud of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Tom can probably speak to it a lot. Spent a lot of nights at previous employer just miserable, showing up like a dead corpse for a paycheck week in and week out. And
that's it.
There was a lot of times and a lot of nights there, man, where I was like, man, I don't think I'm going to make it out, dude. I don't know if anything's ever going to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've been there, Rich, with jobs in your past. And it's a tough world, man. It's competitive no matter what industry you go into. And you got to constantly be on your game and constantly learn and be willing to learn and be willing to be taught. And in the world of live TV, they need things right now, and most directors are psychos. So you gotta have tough skin, man. It's I'd love to have like a GoPro like audio to like share with people like what goes on behind some of these
a day in the life.
These broadcasts that you see on TV, you know what I mean? Sometimes they make it look good, man, and it's. There's times where you get to show up to an arena or, small high school stadium or whatever, and you're filming for 6 hours straight on your feet. You're trying to catch everything you can, man, from the coaches at midfield talking to a guy showing up to the arena to the guy walking out onto the field, trying to catch every little bit of footage that you can to use in that broadcast. And I know a lot of those directors and producers, there's a lot of hours that goes into putting the show together and sponsors, and it's a pretty wild world, man, but definitely fun. I'll say that.
And it gives us kind of a unique perspective too, because having kind of an inside track on certain things, we can, pick your brain when it comes to, what are you seeing out there in the world and in the sports, and it just kind of gives us that advantage. I think that a lot of shows don't have with people that are actually connected inside. So. Looking forward to.
I will say that you guys have a direct connection to one of the godfathers of Detroit sports media, and Sean Belegian, because in my travels, in my short period of time out there, working in the field, he's one of he shows up and he's one of the head guys at every broadcast that he's at. You know what I mean? So he's definitely a guy that I would like to pick. You know what I mean? His brain a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be reaching out to him and Mike Ivasil and get him on.
Yeah.
Especially with the way, and this will be a nice little segue, the way the Detroit Red Wings have been on a resurgent as of late, bringing in Todd McClellan. As we all know, he's come in as the new head coach. They're 13-4-1 since he's taken over, and big win last night in Calgary. They got a game here that's the puck's gonna drop here within the hour. So, Rich, and you're kind of like the EasySpeak hockey guru, we'll say. Is that coaching change? Yeah. Is the coaching change? Does it make that big of a difference to a team, or what is your kind of perspective of that?
Well, me personally, I wanted a coaching change in the offseason. I really think that, with everything that Yzerman has kind of the nucleus that he has put together of players, there wasn't something clicking, right? There was not, there was something that it was the way they were playing. Like, if you look at the way the game is played now, the game is extremely fast, right? And we have speed on the team. It's not we got a bunch of slow pokes or like that. But with every team being fast, you cannot play the same system. You can't play the dump and chase. You need to have schemes set up to where you're able to move the puck efficiently and fast. I just think that the style that was being played was very archaic, to the fact that they were very easy to read. They were very easy. They were very predictable on what they were going to do. And, you were absolute garbage, right? And then they made the coaching change right after, Christmas, right around Christmas, they made the coaching change, and they brought a guy in who's pretty much, he's been here before. He's been in Detroit, so he's familiar with the ownership. He's familiar with Steve. He's familiar with all these different components. But I think honestly, what had happened was, I think because of the losing, everybody says, oh, they're professional players. They get paid millions of dollars. They're okay. No, they're not okay. At the end of the day, being competitive, you want to win, no matter what it takes. And I felt like Derek Lalonde lost the locker room because of the losing ways, right? And so if nothing was going to change, it was almost like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It was the same thing over and over again, different, it was the same result. It wasn't a different result. Everything was, they were losing their, they could go up and get ahead. And it's like they would take their foot up the gas, give up 3 goals, lose in overtime, or they'd be up. And, they would always
lose late in the third.
Like in the second half of the second period, it was like, hey, we're going to play a little bit differently. We're going to play softer. And it's like, if you think about it, it's like the NFL. Like when you get up high on a team, what do? They quit playing man. They drop in a zone. You get the crosses, and they just start piling the yards up, and they'll give up a touchdown or 2. But the difference is when you score a goal in the NHL, it only counts for 1, not 7. So, or 6, and then an extra point. But I think having Todd McClellan come in, he brought in Trent Yanni, who is a defensive-minded coach. He, and I remember Trent Yanni from when he was playing days, when he played with Chicago, and I hated him when he played in Chicago. So this is how far back I know Trent Yanni from. But he's a great guy to have on your team. He definitely has changed the way that the defense plays on the penalty kill, right? Before, you never saw guys laying out blocking shots as much as they do now. Yeah, you get one here now, but you've seen guys like Tyler Mott. He'd sprawl across the ice, block a shot, and that their power play. I'm glad they kept Alex Tanguay on, because I think last time I checked, I think they were like 4th or 5th in the league in power play.
Yep.
So that's huge. If you could take advantage of those opportunities, it's huge. All it's going to do is just put you one step closer. I'm glad that they're finishing. I'm glad that they're finishing games the way they should be playing. We went to a game a couple weeks ago.
Last Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, last Saturday went to a game. They played against the Lightning, and they played absolutely lights out. Guys blocking shots, guys getting down, digging down in the corners, getting the puck out. Just playing really stingy defense. Our goaltending, if our defense shows up and plays in front of them, I don't have any worries about Cam Talbot or Alex Lyons, because Lyons played his ass off. He gave up 2 quick ones in Edmonton. He came back and played solid the rest of the game and kept them in the game to go into overtime and then go to the shootout and then win in the shootout. So with that being said, I don't want to sit here and just pound my chest because of my excitement for the Detroit Red Wings again.
You should.
In the words, all I can say going forward is the words that Todd McClellan said in the second practice: just play fucking hockey. You've done it your entire life. Just fucking play hockey. And that's all we want. We want them to play hard. If they lose by a goal, cool. If they get blown out, but I still see guys flying, and stopping shots and everything like that. I know they're putting out there, but I think they lost the locker room. And, and some of the, and you guys probably saw some of the post-game interviews with Larkin, and Larkin was like, yeah, he didn't really want to call him out. He goes, yeah, but there needed to be a change. And, it's the same guys, just a different voice in the room, and they're playing way much better. It was at 13-4 and 1 the last.
13-4 and 1. Yep.
Yeah. So, it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting to see how the rest of the season transfolds, just because, they still got some work to do. And they got to play catch up. But I think after tonight, they're playing against Vancouver. Vancouver just offloaded some of their, JT Miller. They just offloaded him to New York Rangers. And he came in his first game of the Rangers and was just knocking points down or whatever. So, change of scenery does good for people. Change of voice does good. I predict them to be maybe, I don't know if they're going to stand put during the trade deadline, but if they're going to go after somebody, they need to go after somebody in defense. So, but other than that, dude, I'm thrilled it's on the up and up.
So, Justin, I'll ask you this. It seems like a lot of these teams, and it started last year with kind of that gritty mentality, and it flowed with the Tigers, the Gritty Tigs. That was kind of their moniker toward the end of the year last year. And you're seeing it with the revitalized Red Wings and the revitalized Pistons. So, and here's another situation where they get a new coach, JB Bickerstaff comes in and takes over from Monty Williams, who was an absolute abomination here with the Pistons. Now they come off a big win today in Chicago. They beat Dallas Friday night. So, this team is definitely trending in the right direction. Do you think kind of having that mentality that the Lions kind of led with, do you think these other teams are really catching on and realizing that this is kind of the tone that this city sets, this blue collar, hardworking city, and they're kind of following suit?
Yeah, I think with the Lions, they kind of set the tone, and then I think everybody around kind of witnessed what Detroit could be as a sports town, what we are as a sports town. I think this is pretty high-ranking sports town in America, if you ask me. I mean, I can talk to anybody in public, and they know a lot about something with one of our sports teams. And then it kind of, like you said, trickled down with the Tigers last year. I mean, came back from nothing. I've listened to interviews in the offseason with Scooble where, he just said, hey, we were just playing with house money, man. Nobody believed in us. We went on that run. They just kept showing up. They have the right core there, so I think they're good. And you're seeing it with the Wings. I mean, with McClellan, sometimes a change of scenery and a different voice in the locker room can go a long way with guys. Some teams are player-led, and you got leaders in the locker room. Obviously, there's some teams that need a push and need a voice. I think the message of just fucking play hockey kind of echoed through that locker room, and that's what they've done. And obviously, they're not going to sell the wand out in public. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it in the media, but obviously there was something going on in that locker room where the players knew that they needed a change. And they brought McClellan in, who I think was an assistant on Scotty Bowman's staffs here, right? And you listen to a lot of old-time Red Wings talk about how Scotty did it, you know what I mean? He was no nonsense, no bullshit coach.
Yep.
And he got great results out of that team, and you're seeing it with McClellan, and you're seeing it with JB Bickerstaff. And I think right now is just a good time to be a Detroit sports fan, man. Like, all of our franchises are on the up and up right now. I mean, obviously, we've all dealt with a little heartbreak here in the last few weeks with our Lions, but we'll move on. And we got the Tigers coming up, and we got a couple playoff pushes in the NBA and the NHL. So times are good, man.
I like what I'm seeing with JB Bickerstaff. He's very passionate. And if he feels like his team is getting kind of the short end of the stick, he's not afraid to flap his jaws and tee up if he has to. And he did the other night. He got ejected. I mean, they had to separate him. I thought he was going to attack the official, but I think his players, and you look at what Isaiah Stewart did the other night, he was going after that guy from Indiana, which he gets suspended on his bobblehead night, which was great.
Hey, can we draft him for maybe an edge rusher for the Lions by any chance? Or no?
Yeah.
Well, who was it? I was watching a podcast the other day.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah. He goes, he needs to play for the Pistons. Sport. He don't even need pads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, he's a bruiser.
He was on that Lakers team when he tried to go after LeBron.
Oh,
and
I remember
he
that.
said in that interview, he said they were looking at me like, if he makes it through, you're going to have to stop him. He said, I ain't getting in that motherfucker's way. He said, hell no. He said he's playing the wrong sport.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's a big
for
dude.
Sure.
So I guess we'll kind of piggyback off, talking about the Lions here. Obviously, it was a disappointing end, to say the least.
Yeah.
As somebody that was in attendance when they lost, that was a very depressing walk out of Ford Field. They've lost a lot of coaches this year, but I'm a firm believer in Dan Campbell, specifically Brad Holmes. They seem to have gotten the right pieces in, bringing in John Morton, the passing game coordinator of the Broncos. They also brought in David Shaw, who's going to be the passing game coordinator here. And then the defensive coordinator, they've kind of promoted up. So I think there was talks of him going elsewhere for the same position, so he stays in. But the bottom line, the Lions have the pieces, personnel-wise, to make things happen. Rich, we'll start with you. What do you hope to see them go after here in the draft, and maybe a free agency pickup? Where do you think the direction that they might go?
I think given our track record that we've had this past year with losing a lot on the defensive side of the ball, I think honestly, that was our glaring hole granted, I give Aaron Glenn absolute all the credit in the world doing what he did with what he had, right? And you get to a certain point where your luck runs out, right? And the players that you have, anybody who even makes a practice squad in this league is still a damn good athlete and good.
They're
right?
NFL players, yeah.
Exactly. Even if you do that, but you cannot go into a playoff game where you're relying on guys that are on your practice squad or guys that you picked up and poached off other people's practice squads. Kudos, you guys. We made it this far. We ended the regular season 15-2. We had a great season. We did what we had to do to put ourselves in the best position possible, and it just wasn't the end. So I hope that the Lions go into the draft and focus on shoring up the depth that they need in the front four and in the defensive backs. Middle linebacker, I'm really cool with what we have. I am. I like Anzalone, even though he's getting up in age, so it wouldn't be bad to backfill to have another guy back in there. And whether you do that through, and Jack Campbell
emerged this year.
Yeah, and then if you have those guys there, and I'm not opposed to maybe backfilling through free agency and some free agency signings, something like that. But I do like the fact that they're building their depth. They have been building their depth in the last couple of years through the draft, and I want them to keep doing that. I think that is what's going to make a team successful, because if you're chasing contracts, for the best player available, you do that when you are when you're like, hey, listen, this is our only chance we're going to have. We're going to go and spend the money and do it. But if you want to make yourself a perennial winner year after year after year, then yeah, you have to backfill in the draft. I forgot who we still need to sign this offseason, but
Carlton Davis.
Yeah, Carlton, he came on a 1-year deal. I'd like to see him back. For sure.
I think they got to sign Kirby.
Yes,
they got to extend him.
Say that. Yeah, yep. they need to really lock him in, and even get ready. And you might as well start getting ready and putting your $5 a paycheck away every day.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Or, for Gibbs and Branch. You're going to have to do that. But here's the thing with running backs: you run running backs for 5 years, and it's you have to have somebody in the back, because they take so much abuse. Right. Those guys right there, your corners and stuff like that. That's why you still got Darius Slay still playing, at a high level. He's not getting a ton of impact on players. He pretty much runs around ball hawks, right? Mm-hmm. But you get into those other guys, you definitely need to build within the draft and develop that depth. But I'm really hoping that's where they go. I watched some of the Senior Bowl practices. As I'm telling you right now, there's some D3 guys that were there that were absolutely manhandling guys that play D1, guys that play Alabama, and guys that play Georgia like that. They're getting manhandled by guys that played at Marshall and some of these smaller schools. That was great to see, and that goes to tell you that dude, there's talent from Division I to to Division III, or even JUCO. They're still players. I mean, if they're a dog, they're a dog, right? I mean, that's my opinion. So
they're gonna find them.
Oh, they will.
Yeah. That kid from Marshall, was his name Mike Green?
Yeah.
I know he's on a lot of people's boards to come to Detroit. You put him on the other side of the field with Hutchinson coming back next year. I think that could be a good puzzle piece.
That viral video of him blowing through that tackle was Josh Connerly from Oregon, who's a surefire first-round pick. Yep. So this guy is going to end up being that guy. He maybe like Khalil Mack coming from a Mac school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which, speaking of Khalil Mack, I saw a story why he wore 56 on Buffalo when he played at Buffalo, didn't he?
Khalil Mack? Kansas City, or not Kansas City. I'm sorry. He's in LA right now.
No,
he
college.
Was Buffalo. Yeah, he played at Buffalo.
Because that was his rating, his NCAA ratings or something was 56. That's the number he wore. That's pretty funny. That's a chip. Justin, who do you think? Do you think that they're just going to keep things the way they are? They seem to focus on the trenches, and with the draft at least this year.
Yeah, I think that with what happened to the Lions, probably one of the most unfortunate things that could have happened to the Lions with all the injuries, kind of exposed some glaring needs for some depth. I mean, you're not counting on losing Aleem McNeil. You're not counting on losing Aiden Hutchinson. You're not counting on losing Carlton Davis. Hell, Amik Robertson broke his arm in the last game. I mean, you look at that. That's equivalent to the Kansas City Chiefs going out and losing Chris Jones, losing George Karlaftis, losing Trent McDuffie, and then saying, "Oh, we're going to go to a Super Bowl." You know what I mean? And it's not a cop out. It's not an excuse. It's just unfortunate part of the game.
It's the reality.
Yeah, it's the nature of the game. Year. I think that in the long term, I think maybe they start turning towards that offensive line. You can never have enough edge rushers. I think Mahogany's going to be I think he'll probably be a guard. Zeitler and Glasgow, I think, were both on 1-year deals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I think Zeitler will be back. There was talks that they were, working on a deal.
But here, real quick, just hold on, just real quick. You said that he's on a 1-year deal and he wants to come back. Guys, listen, we're out of the days to where Detroit was where you went to die. It's where people want to go to win. I mean, isn't it great?
They bought in.
That's a great feeling, isn't it?
Which kind of leads me to the next question is, it's a desired landing spot, because it's a culture thing. Dan Campbell has now become the blueprint for head coaches. I mean, 3 years ago, people thought he was a laughingstock with his biting kneecaps. And now teams are looking at the Lions and Dan Campbell, he's not the best X's and O's guy, but he's and here's what you heard a lot in this coaching searches with a lot of teams. He's a leader of men, and that's exactly what Dan Campbell is. So I think a lot of players, and you've heard it from the local boy Max Crosby, that I'd love to play for that guy. I think they're in a situation where they're going to have to kind of be careful of having that luxury, we'll say, of being a destination. So
they'll have about Max Crosby when you get done.
Yeah, but I mean, but one thing's for sure in this offseason or in this season with all the injuries, you didn't seem to see Brad Holmes really going after. There was, always talks of Max Crosby. Oh, go get him and this and that. But it seemed like he didn't want to just go get the name. You have to get the right piece. And I think that's probably why they didn't go and get somebody else besides Zadarius Smith, because these guys may not necessarily fit that mold.
Yeah, I think taking on a guy like Max Crosby, too, you say bye-bye Kirby Joseph, bye-bye Jamison Williams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's a lot of money locked up into one guy.
Yep.
Dude, I go back and forth on this one because, is he a great player? Absolutely. Is he a guy I'd love to have in my front four? Absolutely.
Right.
But it's like one time he'll say, "Oh yeah, I'd love to play for this guy," and then the next thing you read is like, "Man, I love it in Las Vegas." It's like, dude, either do something or shut up.
Right.
Well,
like,
it seems
you
like
can't have both. It's either you do or it's like this. As a friend of mine would say, you can't be half pregnant. It's either you are or you're not. Either you want to be here or you don't want to be here. Don't say, hey, I'd love to play for Dan Campbell. I'd love to go back home. And then he's like, man, I love what we're doing in Las Vegas. I mean, this was just great.
Well, he was very irritated with Antonio Pierce losing his job, and then he took to his podcast and was very vocal about it.
Yeah.
And
he has,
next thing
he has the right to do that.
Sure. And then next thing you know, they bring in Pete Carroll, the 80-year-old cheerleader, and now
the crypt keeper.
Yeah, he seems to be back in the mix in Vegas. So it'll be interesting. I mean, like you said,
Fart and Chip Kelly too.
Yeah, as the OC. Boy, Buckeye Nation's probably wondering what the hell's going on. I think they saw Ryan Day swing that softball bat and run to first base and scared him away.
How does it feel?
Hey, listen, I got to say this, though. I was down in Ohio this past week for work. I was down near Cincinnati. And I read an article saying that, and I don't know how, that the Ohio State Athletics ran at a $37 million deficit.
That's crazy.
Even after paying $20 million for the roster, they still ran at a $37 million deficit.
That's insane. That tells me it's got to be more than $20 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and then the quote in the video I sent you guys, like, some people think they hit a triple. That's going to be good. But they didn't.
That's the best one of the best quotes of all time.
That is that's one of the ages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
sure.
Michigan football. Let's talk about Michigan football, JP.
Yeah.
I'm
interesting times, man.
I mean, it's not bad when the guy who owns Oracle is a huge software, server and everything like that. His wife happens to be a Michigan alum, and she's like, I don't want my team losing anymore, honey. So
I enjoy watching Ohio State lose every year.
Honey, if you want to have a happy marriage, happy wife, happy life, pay that man his money. I'm telling you right now, I'm cautiously optimistic about the first year of Bryce Underwood, but damn, am I excited.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if Mikey Keene, the transfer from Fresno State, who's got a lot of starting experience, if he gets the nod and they kind of slowly integrate Bryce into the offense, kind of like they did with J.J. McCarthy when Cade McNamara was still here. They have to fix the offensive line. That's a glaring hole. The offensive line was terrible last year for Michigan standards, for a team that won back-to-back Joe Moore awards and probably could have won a third the year before last. And they need to get playmakers on the outside. I mean, you can have the best quarterback in the country, arm talent-wise, which I've seen Bryce in person. I know that he has arm talent to make all the throws. He's an athlete, but this kid's a pocket passer. At the end of the day, he can make any throw on the field, and you have to insulate him with wide receivers. They're trying to make some moves. They're kind of been digging into the lower FCS schools and the group of five schools or whatever they call it now to try to fill some of those holes. Fred Moore is a guy I think who could step up. Tight end wise, Hogan Hansen, freshman last year. Who came on at the end of the year when Loveland was out. I think he's going to be a playmaker for them. Jordan Marshall.
Is Klein back again? Marlon Klein, is he back?
Marlon Klein is back. Yep, he was hurt too at the end of the year. Jordan Marshall, guy that you guys seen in the bowl game, who's going to be stud. I think next kind of Blake Corum guy.
Defense are going to be nice.
Yeah, defense is bringing a lot of guys back. I'm with you, Rich. Kind of optimistic. I don't know if they're national championship level yet, but I think you're going to see some definite improvements next year with them from what we've seen this year.
As long as they beat that team down south, I don't care.
Right. Well, now, so it's interesting.
They could lose every game, but if they win that game, I'm good.
It's interesting to me that Jada Davis decided to stay, knowing they brought Bryce Underwood in. What's the future look like for him?
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan all along with Jaden Davis, what you hear from a lot of the insiders, was for him to sit it out this year. They wanted him to develop. They kind of seen the situation with Dante Moore going out to UCLA, getting thrown into the fire. And then you've seen Dante Moore transfer and go to Oregon and sit behind Dylan Gabriel, who would probably be the starter for Oregon this year. So I think that they knew Michigan's quarterback situation coming in. I mean, I think what a lot of things with Michigan too is the NIL opportunities are actually through the roof at Michigan right now. Something that we didn't talk about a lot a few years ago because there wasn't a lot of opportunities there. So I think with the NIL opportunities, the education that they're selling you on, the alumni base, you got Tom Brady. I mean, you got iconic figures, you know what I mean? Now we got Oracle guys donating $12 million. And don't think that Bryce Underwood's the only guy that is eating off that Oracle train. I mean, there's a big lump sum of money that they donated to the athletic department.
I'm sure Elijah Dotson's getting some of that juice.
Oh yeah. Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng was a guy that late from IMG that they got, I'm sure. They got the Andrew Babaloa, top 15 player in the country, offensive tackle, highest rated offensive tackle that Michigan's recruited since they started tracking that. They got the kid to flip from Alabama, offensive tackle, who's also a top 50 recruit. So there's a lot more opportunity with NIL, and obviously with the biggest alumni base in the country and the world. That Michigan power is real, man. And I think these kids are seeing that. There's more entrepreneurial spirit now with social media, and these guys can make money. We've seen Bryce Underwood made money with Barstool already. They had
as soon as he committed, they had shirts on sale.
Dude, they were selling. I just, you know me, as you can see behind me, I'm a signed jersey collector, right? They had a Bryce Underwood jersey, signed Underwood Michigan jersey, and they wanted like $754, and I was like, I can't do it. I just can't.
No, he had a collector card that was going for $1,900, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, but this is what they think. This is what they thought of Bryce Underwood, that he's real. Oh. When they went to Dave Portnoy, hey, who are we looking at? Portnoy, who are we looking at? We're looking at Bryce. It wasn't an established transfer quarterback. It wasn't Carson Beck. It wasn't, you know what I mean? All these other names that were getting thrown out, Miller Moss from USC. No, they wanted Bryce Underwood. You know what I mean? Because they feel like he's a generational talent, and
he was right in their backyard too.
Yeah,
and I think that's the one. You can't let the number one quarterback, the number one player in the country, slip through the cracks when he's 15 minutes down the road from where you play. So.
And that's going to be a trickle effect because you already seen it. Elijah Dotson went. There's another soon to junior this year, Trey Britton, who's at Belleville, wide receiver, who's already been on campus at Michigan. Donald Tabron, who's going to be a sophomore at Cass Tech, kind of like the Bryce Underwood ilk. Won a state championship this year as a freshman. He's been on campus a bunch. You know what I mean? So there's a connection there with Bryce Underwood, and he's going to bring some of these guys to Michigan.
And they never had that Detroit connection for the longest time. It just seemed like there was so much talent in the city, and Detroit or Michigan seemed to kind of avoid recruiting there. And you see Penn State and Ohio State seem to kind of benefit from a lot of the big, deep talent that we had here in the city.
Well, Michigan was real good at going to Ohio and taking all the talent out of Ohio.
That again. They're doing it again, it seems. So,
well, Harbaugh had a beef with Jermaine Crowell, who was the coach at Belleville, who just is actually returning to the sidelines after his 2-year suspension.
I read that today, dude. Dude.
He's going to River Rouge, which is another dirty school, and the River Rouge head coach actually just was announced last night at halftime at the Wayne Memorial basketball game, is taking that job. So I'm kind of excited for my alma mater to get Petway there, who's probably going to recruit and bring some talent to the school, which has been down for a long time. Top 10 basketball program in the state. But it's Michigan is a hotbed for recruiting right now. The Rising Stars camps are on and firing right now, the 7-on-7 tournaments. And I think there was somewhere around 100-something kids that have been offered D1 scholarships from the state of Michigan over the winter. So The Bryce Underwood effect, you got to keep all the best players in the state here. We signed the top 6 in the state of Michigan last year. There's a lot more talent, under the radar talent coming that we got to keep in-house moving forward, which we will. And that's a huge win. Yeah, because we're not going to let Penn State come in our backyard and take our players anymore. You know what I mean? We're not going to let Ohio State come here and take our players anymore.
Can't.
And you look at how Michigan finished the season. Go to Ohio State, win, beat Alabama in a bowl game, basically a meaningless bowl game. But you see that, and you add the Bryce Underwood effect, and you see what it does for recruiting. And yeah, Barstool Sports is a massive entity. And when you have the head of that, media company, Michigan grad, touting Michigan left and right. These kids in this social media, landscape that we live in, these kids want to be a part of that. And knowing that, hey, man, if I get recruited to go play at Michigan, I might be able to show up at Barstool and do a little podcasting with them, and you get more visibility. Their brand becomes that much bigger, and that's what these kids are looking for.
They're looking
bottom
for
line.
Money.
They're trying to get
money, but they're trying to get money before they, an injury happens or.
Yeah, can't blame them, right?
No, not at all. I think. Well, I'll be honest with you. I think there needs to be some type of regulation on it because some of this shit's getting out of hand. But you got guys that are they've been starter for 5 different teams in their 5-year college career. It's like we gotta put something in place. But
it's too much.
So we got to talk about this. And as much as I can't stand talking about it, but we got to talk about it. Super Bowl. I am so absolutely sick and tired of seeing Kansas City. I'm sick and tired of seeing Taylor Swift, Jackson Mahomes, Brittany Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes.
You just pissed off a good buddy of ours, I'm sure, Mr. Robbie Davis. Ultimate Swiftie.
You know what? If she wants to go to the games, that's fine. I don't need to see her on TV every 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you on that one. And I do think, we talked about it before. This is probably the one Super Bowl nobody wanted to see. And, it's unfortunate. And I saw a poll last week, and it was, do you plan on watching the Super Bowl? And it was resoundingly, it was like 63-37 no. But bottom line is people are still going to watch. It's kind of a national holiday, we'll say.
I hope it flops.
It'll be because really, you're seeing Kansas City. People will tune in to see if they can three-peat. People will tune in to see if Philly can get their revenge. But yeah, as a, if you're just a basic fan, you don't really give too much. You're the ones there to watch the commercials or the halftime show. I think you're going to lose some interest. But
the commercials it'll be lackluster too.
Yeah, they have been, but
it is win the Super Bowl square.
But is this a conspiracy theory? Let's talk about this.
Oh, the color thing.
Colors.
You're gonna bring up the colors.
No. I'm talking about, and I know I'll get some shit if somebody I know ever listens to this. Dude, there's gotta be something going on because some of those spots against Buffalo were absolute horseshit. Absolute horseshit. It was like, how can the guy be at the 11 and we're going to spot the ball at the 9.5? Fourth down. Sorry.
And here's another thing. Here's another thing that didn't get talked about a whole lot. The head of that officiating crew, where does he live?
Oh, probably Kansas City.
Kansas City. He claims to be a Baltimore Raven fan, which I find very interesting that you have an NFL official claiming, where his fandom lies. But then you look at, the irony of that one. Who did Buffalo just beat? Baltimore Ravens. The week before. So it's very questionable. And then you had Dean Blandino's brother come out and say he believes the NFL is rigged and he thinks the officials have to sign NDAs. I don't know about you guys, but that wouldn't surprise me. And I think looking at officiating and how abysmal it's been all year, That would not surprise me one bit. The NFL is a money thing. It's a numbers game for them. So yeah, we don't want to become conspiracy theorists, but there could be some smoke to that fire. I don't know, maybe.
No, yeah, and I mean, people are publicly talking about it now. So I mean, it's not like it's just like it's not an us thing or another podcast or somebody that's talking about it. Like, there's credible sources and people that are involved. I mean, Dean Blandino's brother, I mean, would be a pretty credible source if you ask me.
You would think.
Yeah, I would think so. And I don't think Dean Blandino has anything to do with officiating anymore. I think he just works for Fox. So
once he got caught on Jerry Jones' a party bus, that was it for Dean. That was about 3-4 years ago. But yeah, you were talking earlier about the colors, JP. They've kind of fallen in line. 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, the colors have made sense. And there's rumors that now I've seen a community note put on for Super Bowl, I believe it's 61 next year in San Francisco, that the colors being blue and white. I've seen it community noted that that's just a rendering. It's not the official colors, but I keep seeing it more and more. And who's representing blue? What's the one Super Bowl that everybody wants to see? Lions, Bills. What do you think about that?
I'd be cool with that, man. That's yeah.
Only if we could bring Norwood back out so he can shank some field goals.
Man, right? I tell you, that would be.
I mean, but just real quick here, I just did just a quick Google search to see what they said that viewership among women aged 18 to 24 has increased by 24% since Taylor Swift has been seen at the games, right? And it says that viewership among teenage girls has gone up 53% because of that. And then women 35 and above, 34%. And then, where's the other one at here that says?
I think a lot of that has to do with women in sports also is gambling, because I know a lot of women that do parlays and place bets.
And I'll give you another name. Right. I'll give you another name that kind of has lit up women's sports. It's Caitlin Clark. You have these girls that never were into sports, and it became pretty huge. He's selling out arenas everywhere, and so these girls are now getting involved with sports. Okay, now our hero Taylor Swift is on the the Chiefs, or her boyfriend's the member of the Chiefs, so they kind of get involved. And yet you're right, sports betting. A good friend of ours, Jen, she's a huge sports gambler. She's damn good. So I think you're onto something there. It just kind of keeps people engaged.
Yeah.
I agree.
So leading into kind of our final topic here, pitchers and catchers are reporting. We talked about it earlier, that magical run that the Tigers had last year. What was it? At a certain point, they had like a 0.02% chance of making the playoffs, and they made the playoffs, and we're one game away from the ALCS, which was incredible. And they've made a couple moves. They brought in Tommy Kahnle, to kind of shore up that bullpen, and then they brought in the guy from New York. His name escapes me at the moment, but
you're talking about Gleyber Torres.
So, but the one name that has been kind of on everyone's radar, and it just hasn't seemed to go away, is Bregman. And I heard today it came out that there's one team that has a 6-year deal on the table, and also in the same quote, it was there's only 2 teams that have deals on the table for him at the moment.
Are you talking about that quote from Heyman?
Yeah,
it's Tigers. Tigers have the long-term deal on the table right now.
Them in Boston are the 2 teams that seem to be kind of in play here.
So Detroit actually ponied up a 6-year deal?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 5 or 6, but
when you have John Heyman kind of getting in the mix, tweeting that they're kind of in the driver's seat, you wonder, were they playing chicken both sides? Who's going to bend first? And And you look at pundits like Ben Verlander. He tweets every day. Today would be a great day for the Tigers to sign Alex Bregman. And there's no secret. He wants to play with AJ. So what's the problem? So looking at that, let's say hypothetically they get
his agent.
They get Bregman. Like, what do you think that does to the outlook of this season?
I think it does a ton. I mean, that's the missing piece right there. I mean, after they signed Canley, they need a third base. You can't platoon your third baseman or your first baseman. Your corners or your infield normally are guys that got to have a high slugging percentage, power guys. As much as I like Fierling, he's not an everyday third baseman. After the Canley signing, you've seen Scott Harris said we're not done. So I'm hoping that we're not done. We're not done means that we're going after Bregman, because we see now Santander, he's off the board. Was another guy that they were talking about. He signed with Toronto. This has to be done. I feel like clubhouse-wise, he's going to fit from all indications from the team in Houston. He's a hell of a guy in the clubhouse. I mean, even reports that Jose Altuve is willing to move to left field if they can re-sign Bregman and bring him back. So, I mean, I think that speaks volumes, and it's kind of what we got going on here with our clubhouse already. A group of guys, young guys. They all seem to like each other. They play for each other, and man, the outlook of if we get Bregman, all in all, the main outlook, we got to be the division leaders, I would think. Over Cleveland, over Minnesota. I mean, we
Cleveland's
would be
unloaded.
in the driver's seat.
Cleveland's unloaded a lot of their players. I think they're going to take a big step.
Great
back.
Farm system, though.
They do, and
that's
so do the Tigers. And
yep.
That's another thing. You look at Detroit's the only team. They got 3 players right now in the top 10 in the farm system, top 10 prospects. So there's another team. You look at kind of like the mold that the Lions did. They built through the draft. The Tigers have been doing the same thing. They kind of have the same mantra with young guys, and they were the second youngest team in MLB, and what they were able to accomplish. I think getting that point, playing playoff baseball almost the whole month of September, basically, that experience is going to really do numbers for him. So
the potential Bregman brings to the team is probably. Especially if you have a guy that's going to be sitting at third every day, right? Yep. You're going to get anywhere between 75 and 95 RBIs. You're going to get a guy who bats 260, 270,
25 plus homers.
Does have power. I was going to say that. Yeah, he's going to give us some, more pop at the bat. But yeah, dude, it's a no-brainer, and I think a lot of it's geared towards his agent trying to squeeze everything he can out of a deal. And I'm sure Bregman doesn't want to be sitting around in limbo, not knowing where he's going.
Especially we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from teams reporting fully. So and John Flaherty or Jack Flaherty is another guy out there that he was on Foul Territory podcast last week, talking about I loved my being in Detroit, and if they called, I would definitely love to go back. So you're starting to see that culture change a little bit, and that's AJ, and that's Chris Fetter, the pitching coach too. So,
Mm-hmm.
I still want Trevor Bauer.
I would take Trevor Bauer.
Well, he's being
I'd take it
by that woman.
I'd take him and all of his shit. It wouldn't matter to me, dude. I mean, the last 2 years, he played in Japan a year, dominated, went to Mexico, dominated. I mean,
in the world of social media, boy, he would put a lot of eyeballs on the Tigers. That's for sure. I just don't think. I don't know if bringing somebody like him in would be a cancer to the clubhouse. That would be interesting. He'd have to be muzzled a little bit, and can you muzzle Trevor Bauer? I don't know. That would be a tough pill to swallow. So, but we started the show with the kind of the temperature, the future of what Detroit sports is. A year ago at this time, we weren't saying that. The Wings were, abysmal. The Pistons were beyond embarrassing, and the Tigers weren't it. Yeah, we had the Lions to look forward to, and Michigan winning the Natty. But I think it's safe to say Detroit's back. And we've got enough content where we can keep this show rolling just through the springtime, through summertime. It's worthy, and I think people care, and now is the time to get this bad boy up and running again. So I'm excited to be back talking to you guys, and the future is looking very bright around here. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we're just under an hour. We'll keep it that way, and that way we don't bore everybody to death. But hey, it's like I said, it's great to be back. JP, thank you for making the time. I know your schedule is just beyond busy with being a new dad, and Rich with your baseball schedule with the boys, and I don't. I'm here getting things ready and making shit happen, and I'm glad to do that. But
looks
for
good.
myself,
no, it's been
for
fun,
myself,
guys.
Myself, JP, and Rich. Look forward to doing this again. Well, and I can tell you this. Our good buddy Johnny Danger is going to be in the Speakeasy next weekend for Super Bowl, and we're going to do a show. So we'll do a pregame show for Super Bowl. We'll get some crazy prop bets and whatnot and make our predictions. So look forward to that. But we'll see everybody next week for the Super Bowl. Take it easy.
Thank you for tuning in to the EasySpeak at Speaeasy330 podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Check us out on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to sharing another cold one with you right here next time for another fun-filled episode. Cheers.